And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because, holy smoke, let me tell you, I've got way too damned many things going on all at the same time, and I'm getting really, really annoyed at this because, trust me, there's just too damn many things going on all at the same time because it's just kind of the way that it is. I apologize. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. My name is Shujin Tribble, or at least that's what you know me by. And you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's S-H-U-J-I-N. Hi. It's fair to say that things have been a little squirrely, to put it nicely. I'll kind of explain momentarily when we get there. From the Midwest to the Oh, wow. Holy shit. From the Midwest to the U.S. Good evening, Bridget Fitch.
Good evening. We no longer have a heat index of 112 barbarian, so it's nice here. 77 degrees
I'll take
barbarian.
I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. It's good to have you back, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And from the left-hand coast, where some of the heat has started and some of the soot isn't coming from, and where the soot is actually coming from originally from Isle Cloud. Good evening.
Yes, we might not have had the temperature up that high, but the air quality did go at least that high once this week. And the higher the air quality, the worse air it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had this whole week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks almost, has been a hellacious force over here in the Buffalo market because it's been killing me out there. For those of you that don't know, over here in the Buffalo market, it has been just damn hot, humid, muggy, and all at the same time making things just atrocious for everybody involved. Worse than that, I'm having a little bit of a problem with my keyboard not behaving nice. Why not? I apologize.
Oopsies.
Yeah, I'm trying to get everything organized. Okay, so amongst other things, just to give everybody a little bit of context, I had my computer open earlier just a little while ago because I got new set of memory to go into it, which has made things a little annoying, to put it mildly, because memory is supposed to go in your computer closest to the CPU, empty spot, closest to the CPU, next slot, and then empty if you've only got 2 sticks normally, and 4 slots, which I do. Unfortunately, the third memory slot, for some reason, is not functioning. So I had to reopen it, put the 2 next to each other, which you're not really supposed to do, but 32 gigs of memory in unoptimal position is better than 16 in optimal. So there's that. Windows didn't want to see my headphones. Don't know why. It thought it was being plugged into the microphone port.
It
No,
does that sometimes.
I
It's a Windows thing.
don't know. I don't know. It shouldn't have been, but you know what? It made things run behind schedule for me like crazy. So, and now for some reason my wireless keyboard, it doesn't want to type, which is making things a little bit difficult for me to get everything organized, as you can probably
More
imagine.
Windows things. More Windows things.
No. This one's not a Windows thing. This is a battery power thing. So I will have this adjusted momentarily. And then I'll be able to get everything properly organized with, stuff that I can type and click on and all this happy stuff. Be this as it may. As everyone should know, who is here with us, of course, hi. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. If you'd like to be with us as we record live, please drop in over us on YouTube. Be more than happy to discuss with you, have you help us out by keeping us sane, or at the very least, whatever passes for it. No power. Well, that's just ducky. I'll figure it out momentarily. And if you do join us live, you can be with us. And Stephanie, as usual, do see you over there. Hi. And yeah, I'm pretty glad that Bridget was able to make it too. So, while I'm trying to figure this out here for a couple of seconds, you want to fill folks on what you can at the moment, how things have been going for you, whether it's weather or what's been keeping you away. Again, only in so much as what you're willing to give out. Reminding you that, the internet's not a happy place sometimes. And neither is being over at the CDC, apparently.
No kidding. That is, I don't even know what to do with that. Apparently, that was the target of the shooting, was specifically at the CDC, because, of course, we've got anti-vax conspiracy wackos, and the wackos are going to wacko.
So it would seem.
Yeah, I'm glad that everybody was okay over there, but some of the people that worked at the CDC that got their window shot at are kind of rattled. And because the government is being so generous to the feds, they're going to let them work from home Monday, but they still have to go back to the office Tuesday.
Gotta love that.
So they're like, yeah, we've got PTSD and we're going to get over it by Tuesday. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, if kids can go back to school the next day, I mean, why not the adults, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the U.S.
Yeah, welcome to the U.S. where we can't even keep our president safe from...
Yeah, but do you really want to? I'm kind of concerned about this meeting that he's going to have with Putin in Alaska, and he might be crazy enough to actually sell Alaska back to Putin. I wouldn't put it past him. Putin wants it back.
Wouldn't do that. That would be wrong. Oh, by the way, for what it's worth, Bridget, does this look at all familiar for you at all?
MREs.
Oh, yeah, except mine were usually like nice and square, not squished in. Why is that squished in?
Because it's the fluid intake package.
Oh, no, I didn't have those.
Yeah, I love this one.
I had the ones in the dark brown that you had to cut open and it had different crap in it.
Yeah, well, I've acquired a couple of them because why not? Come to find out that I found out why they were given away, which was that the heating pads that you're supposed to like put water into in order to kickstart them, most of them didn't work.
Oh,
but that's okay.
Yeah, that one looks kind of hosed.
Well, this one in particular is for fluid intake in particular. This one says that it is. I love this. Carbohydrate electrolyte beverage powder. Grape. For anyone that doesn't speak absolute literal, it's probably, I haven't tasted this one yet, but it's probably Gatorade. Kind of the same way that the ravioli with beef and cheese in tomato sauce, it absolutely was Chef Boyardee in a can, just not in a can. I recognize that taste. I haven't had that stuff. I promised myself I would never buy that again in my adult lifetime. And the last time I can remember having it was when my father and I went on a camp out with Cub Scouts, which means I was in my very, very, very early years. So 40 years later, minimum, I still remember what that tastes like.
Well, that might not be Gatorade. It might. I don't know what's in there because I've never had one of those. But might be something like the, I don't know, body armor. What's the other stuff? Something IV. I don't know.
Well, I did have the other one, which was the powdered breakfast drink, orange. It was Tang. Don't get me wrong, I like Tang. Sorry. I like orange Tang. And there's a reason I'm saying that. Because although he is likely not going to be joining us, Unrenowned Tech does send his regards, and fortunately does not send any, what's the word that I'm looking for right about now? He doesn't send any Tang this week to me, which is very, very appreciated. Because Tang doesn't just come in orange. It comes in lemonade, which is acceptable. He also found out that it comes in mango.
Oh, no.
I don't like mango.
I like mango. He can send it to me.
That's perfectly fine. I did try it because I figured, of course, as always, what's the worst that as Spike the Dragon is once quoted as having said, haven't we learned never to use that expression?
Well, I do have a question for you. Have you started stocking up on coffee beans to put in the freezer?
No. I'll tell
I know that you
I
drink coffee.
Oh, I do.
But I'm seeing some posts of horror now where people paid like $11.99, a pound for some beans, and all of a sudden it went up to $19.99 a pound, and it's about to get worse.
Lovely.
Well, you got the 50% tariffs, and most of the coffee beans come from Brazil.
You know what? Worst case scenario, what I'll do is I'll just switch back over to drinking tea. I did as a kid.
Yeah.
I can do it as an adult if it gets to be that point.
Yeah, I'm drinking tea, but yeah, seeing people say that the price went up that much in like 4 days, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out in just a little bit.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the topic of the show. I'm just like, holy cow. And then there were some Farker that was posting on the forums that, normally they were spending, like $400 a month on groceries. And his last stuff that he bought, his usual, was $1,300.
That's a mortgage payment, right?
Yeah. And then if you try to go in and get any kind of a steak in a store now, the USDA steak, it's like $40 to $50 a pound. Not that I eat steak, but
Yeah, ditto.
yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, we'll kind of keep that in mind while I readjust myself over here. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, and somebody said that they were going to go on a trip and got like picked up one of the assorted little mini bags of different chocolate candies, like the Hershey's or Mars bars or whatever, and put it back down because it was $15.99.
That's wrong.
And he was like, "Didn't I used to buy this for like $7.99?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Didn't I used to buy this for 5 cents? Maybe that was the 70s, but still.
Could have been. In any case, so we're going to see about getting everything rolling over here. Lexa, by the way, chiming in. Hi. Fashionably early. It's good to see you. I'm teasing because I can. saying, kicking myself for not getting another larger can of Tim Hortons coffee when I saw some semi-cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. But hey, look at the bright side. You could always grow your own coffee tree.
Technically.
I mean, yes, technically.
Yeah. I mean, my joke that's been running here, people are like, oh, officially a banana republic. And I'm like, no, we would have to import bananas for that.
Yep.
It'd be really good if somebody who was really good with recombinant gene technology were to come up with a slightly different version of bananas so that they don't get wiped out. Hint, hint. But that's a whole other thing for later.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have science anymore. We can't do recombinant technology.
Well, there's always the high school kids in their garages. Oddly.
True.
We'll deal with that. Anyhow, how about I get things rolling, and we'll kind of see where it takes us tonight, because, whew, golly, is there more than enough to be dealing with tonight? Some of this is cool. There's a good portion of it that really isn't. So while we get things rolling on over here, let me get you rolling. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts now. Death. Now, before anybody goes ahead and starts getting worried about this one, I'm not speaking of my own. I'm speaking of a situation that I've heard about. It's kind of a weird one. In the lexicon for tarot, I know, just bear with me a second. Death, or the death card, is supposed to be not a literal death. It's a literary death. It's the changing, the end of one thing, the beginning of another. Or so they say, for whatever it's worth. Now I've got an interesting problem. The setup is this. In one of the episodes of Star Trek, I do believe it was Deep Space Nine, one of the characters was incarcerated for a crime whereby they were forced to have memories of being incarcerated for a number of years. It was all fake. It was just made up memories that were planted into their brain. It lasted, I don't know, an hour. And they come out of it all and they think that they've spent the last however many years in prison trying to deal with surviving through it all. Another episode, Star Trek Next Generation. Captain Picard spends some time in an artificial memory that was implanted where he lived years, decades on a planet to be part of the peoples so that they would not be forgotten. It took a little while, and then he comes back to his body just a little while later, and he's got memories of 50, 60 years of living with this group. It's not real. Now, they're not exactly the same thing, but here's where this takes us. I've been made aware of a situation where someone who was not a nice person had a stroke, had multiple strokes, as a matter of fact. And reminding you that a stroke is, it's brain damage, literal brain damage, to the point where literally half of their brain is effectively non-functional. How much of it is actually functional or not is immaterial at this point. It's just, it's there, but its function is dubious at best. The person that they were no longer exists. Is that death? Now, I'm saying that from the standpoint of what do we consider dead? Obviously, a complete lack of any brain activity, higher brain function. I should qualify that as, because the lizard part, the brainstem that can actually, keep all the autonomous stuff working. I mean, that can continue to function for a long time. It wants to keep functioning. I mean, that's what keeps us alive. But the higher cognition centers, when those are useless, when they don't work, there's no one there anymore. There's no program functioning anymore. We would consider that dead, brain dead. But what happens if it's the personality? If it's not exactly zero anything going on up in those higher functions? But what if a good portion of who that person was previously is gone? Now, of course, one of the biggest problems that this opens up is, well, from a legal standpoint, what happens if somebody that's incarcerated has that happen to them? They're no longer effectively the person that they were. They've changed. Do they still remain incarcerated? Because physically it's the same body, but mentally they're not. People with Alzheimer's or some other brain-destroying disease, are they no longer real? Are they dead and a new person take over? These are the questions that philosophers could deal with for years trying to figure out. The legal system, who only knows where they would take it? And my God, we're not even going to get into the biologists, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. All I can say for this actual situation that I've heard about where this has happened, and I'm sure it can't be the only one, I feel pity. That's not a good thing. Because in this case, the pity is that the person that was, who was an absolute not nice person, has escaped whatever justice they should have had because of it. And whoever it is that's trapped in that body is an innocent bystander now. And I don't know who to feel bad for. I just know that I feel bad for the people that have got to see what's going to happen. I just hope that whatever happens, it's painless and it's peaceful, which is more than I can say for the people that they impacted. So now, believe it or not, I actually do have sort of a set of horrible scopes. And I say it that way for reasons because, well, things did not go well the last couple of weeks, as you probably have noticed, because of the computer stuff. So if I'm rehashing just a little bit, yeah, that's kind of what it is. So it'll be time for the horrible scopes. For those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can make it up as you go along. Get your dice out of dice prison, the bad dice place. I need to get that video out for you guys. I sent a YouTube short out to my sister in crime, and I'm still waiting to hear what she thinks of it. A place where you can put your, badly behaving dice. It looks like a mimic chest with don't worry, you'll get to see it later. Which means if you'd like to try and use a D12 to figure out for yourself which one you want to choose for this week, you can order one from the guys over there at Heart of the Game Fredonia, because they like us and they've got a mimic. Pretty sure that they still do. So that's Heart of the Game Fredonia, Hail, hail, Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. Let them know that the Horrible Scope sent you. Get in touch with them. Say hi for us. And I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been there in a little bit. I'm likely not going to be there for a while, so we'll see how this plays out. Now, these scopes, they were supposed to be published just after the first week of July. So we couldn't exactly suggest what to do with the usual Canada Day and U.S. Independence holidays, because that's what was going on then. By the way, those of you that went through American holidays and Canadian, you guys have still got all 10 fingers, right? All right, cool. Just spot checking everybody. And even though we missed out on the previous month's set of holidays and vacation spots, we're going to let you know what you could have done if you'd been paying attention ahead of time. So if I hadn't had a hard drive screw up to keep me away from timely publications, this is what should have happened. Now, get out your frequent flyer cards. We're going to get ready to take a crash course in foreign languages so you can get by without a translator. I hope. It's the way it's supposed to work. Aries, your first stop is going to be to China. Believe it or not. You're headed out there for the Torch Festival, a.k.a. the Fire Festival, a.k.a. the Jingwei Festival. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I don't know. I don't care because it's Greek to me. Leave me alone. It's one of the main holidays of the Yi people of southwest China, also celebrated by regional groups, the Bai, the Hani, the Lao, the Naxi, and the Pumi. Again, do I have them all right? I don't know. Even though it corresponds to August in the Gregorian calendar, we're getting you ready ahead of time. We hope. It commemorates the legendary wrestler Atalabia, who drove away a plague of locusts using torches made from pine trees. I don't recommend using flaming pine trees right now because of the way that the heat is. So this week, just remember that there are about 130 different pine tree variants out there. See, there's always more for you to learn about, even with trees, so plan on some time at your local library, too.
Taurus, for you, a little closer to home, most likely. Headed south of the border to Mexico, you'll get to experience the Dia del Agua Festival. Dia del Agua Festival. It was established in Mexico in 1959 with a decree that it should be observed on the second Thursday of July. So this week, the word for tree in Spanish is arbola. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. Not to be confused with the similarly sounding English term airball, which is the best description for your basketball career. As someone once said, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Be in the now.
Gemini, you have your choice of either Cuba, Panama, or Venezuela to visit during Children's Day. It's a commemorative date in honor of children, obviously. Mainly because they are society's riches for the future. They deserve to be treated well, nurtured, fed, clothed, taught, and loved always. So this week, if you think that makes children sound like pets, well, you're not wrong. Both need us to help them live, to survive, and to become better in their own lives. Be good to children. You were one yourself, you know.
I'm going to take that one under advisement. Cancer mode, child. This time, you can stay at home, mostly, and that's not a selling point of this worldwide event. Disability Pride Month, which originated to commemorate the passing of the Americans with Disabilities Act, aka the ADA. Disabled people make up about 15% of the world's population across all ages, races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, religions, and socio-economic backgrounds. No, I did not practice this one. So there is a better than average chance that you know someone who is in some way disabled. So this week, not all disabilities are visible, and not all require a physical aid to overcome them. It's not always about wheelchairs and guide dogs. You interact with a lot of people in a day, any one of whom could be disabled in some fashion. Be nice to people having a struggling moment. would like to pause for a moment because I had something that I sort of requested on Blue Sky that I wanted to share very briefly that goes along with this. I sent off a message because of something that I saw on Blue Sky. Somebody who said, people can't fight back if all their time and resources are needed just for survival. It's true. I sent off a repost reply that said, a request to Coach Gowron. Have you some words for those of us battling to simply break even and not succumb to failure every damned day, who fight tooth and nail to believe that there really is a way through even when hope is only a sliver? Quoting now from Coach Gowron. There are times when the best you can do is cope with the situation, to keep your head above water. But take heart, for coping, simply living through a struggle, is its own defiance, its own glimmer of glory. Sometimes it is a triumph to merely get the hang of hanging in there. Coach Gowron, glory to you, sir. Thank you.
Leo, taking you into the Viking regions, you will be stopping into Finland for Constitution Day. Finland, properly known as Suomi, isn't as snowbound as some would like to think, and they could have a great history to immerse yourself in. So this week, we could suggest that you visit Santa Claus Village, Rovaniemi, or even Senate Square in Helsinki. But we're telling you, you absolutely must see the train station at Kaivoikaigo, Helsinki. It will totally look like a smaller version of the Hall of Justice. Plus, if you buy ahead, you can get an all-you-can-travel rail card for up to 30 days while visiting.
Sorry, I had a sneeze. I was stifling. Cancer, Leo, Virgo. You remember how much you hated hay season? Yeah. Well, it's not back because it's National Headache Season, but in a good way. Welcome to National Ice Cream Month in the United States. Yes, you get to sample all kinds of flavors, from the relatively simple vanilla to the amazingly expensive Japanese Byakuya. So this week, expensive does not mean best. Remember that. Byakuya tipping in at about $6,696 for a single 130 milliliter or 4.4 ounce serving. Contains white truffles from Italy, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, and a byproduct of the sake production process. How about just going in for a nice local ice cream shop and getting some handmade stuff instead? Or, Dairy Queen, Baskin Robbins, Cold Stone. They're okay, right?
Or, make it yourself.
True.
Just
if you have the ability to do so. Not everybody has the ability.
That's true. That's true. Libra, time to take a time zone changing flight to Japan, which seems to have a celebration for everything, come to think about it. This time, you'll be there for Marine Day, also known as Ocean Day or Sea Day. It's a public holiday, usually celebrated on the third Monday in July, to give thanks for the ocean's bounty and to consider the importance of the ocean to Japan as a maritime nation. So this week, your celebration is arguably the easiest on the list, since many people celebrate just by taking a beach trip. So enjoy the end of the rainy season in comfort and wear sunblock. As an aside, one of the best parts about Japan, if you decide that you want to go on a day trip, you can start driving in any direction you want. And you'll know you've gone too far when you get to water. You can just turn around and go home.
Scorpio, you'd be forgiven if you thought this next one was a furry holiday. It might as well be one retroactively. If there's one thing we know, it's that furries run the internet. Trust us, it's more true than you realize. Even though System Administrator Appreciation Day, aka SysAdmin Day, was started by one man, it's become a phenomenon of computer culture and business smarts to keep your IT staff happy. Because you always want your IT staff to be not pissed off. So this week, if you hear that your IT staff have started referring to it as BOFH Day, warning, this is your last chance to fix things is on the last Friday in July. Do not skimp on this lunch because they will find out. And remember, all is known.
Still sneezing?
Sort of. I went and got a pillow for my poor little butt because this chair hurts.
I knew she was going to say that.
What? What? This chair hurts. It actually physically hurts to sit in it.
Okay.
Is it Sagittarius?
It is.
Okay, Sagittarius. This celebration's kind of fallen by the wayside a bit due to the rise of airborne communicable diseases, but the impact of this, as you can tell, I'm breathy, but the impact of this one can't be overstated. The first Saturday of July is the Free Hugs Campaign Day. Oh, screw first Saturday of July. Let's just do free hugs for the entire month of August. You might have seen how you might have seen
easy there. Slide, DiMaggio. Just slide.
You might have seen videos or even in public, people just standing out in the open, maybe in a business plaza, holding up a simple sign that says, free hugs! And eventually someone takes them up on it. It's random acts of kindness like that that makes us all feel better. So this week, the campaign continues until August 1st. Let's make it September 1st. So plan on getting out there to participate. Maybe even vote on your favorite interaction. The college-age person making a running jump hug, or the little old lady who just shuffles up and wraps her arms around the shoulders and squeezes.
Don't mind me. Something happened with my stuff that's better. Capricorn. You might not need a translator this time, but you still might. We're suggesting you head to Ireland for the National Day of Commemoration, an event that recognizes all Irish people who died in past wars or United Nations peacekeeping missions. It occurs on the nearest Sunday to 11 July, the anniversary of the date in 1921 that a truce was signed ending the Irish War of Independence. So this week, the principal ceremony is held at the Royal Hospital Kilmainham in Dublin. It's very accessible from public transportation with plenty of other locations worth visiting within walking distance of it, and enjoy the trees.
Aquarius. Heading to Australia, you'll be there for NAIDOC Week, aka the National Aboriginal and Islanders Day observance, which celebrates the history, culture, and achievements of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So this week, no, not everything in Australia is out to kill you. If you're dead, then you can't come back to spend money and ask a bewildered Aussie bartender for a Foster's, right? Just pay attention to which nope rope is supposed to be around your area and always flush the toilet before you use it. You'll thank us for that one later.
Black Widows in the Privy. Oh, that's a song. Pisces. July 4th is normally the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. How about we make a month of it? Or two. Not of the eating all you can part, but the appreciation of the food itself. Hot dog lovers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania celebrate National Hot Dog Month by sponsoring hot dog crawls, hot dog safaris, and cook-offs, plus occasional free hot dog lunches for veterans and kids' summer camps during July. So this week, even if you're not a kid by age, it doesn't mean you can't be a kid in mind and enjoy your dog like one. And remember, if you want to do it right, mustard, onions, sauerkraut, chili, or nacho cheese are all acceptable condiments. There will be a test on this later. And do not ask someone who speaks Cree what mayo chup behinds means. That's a bad thing. Bad.
It is very much. Those are horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, and you feel good because it's recycled, thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. The last couple of weeks have been annoyingly difficult trying to get all this done. But I'm going to get back into the swing of things and get them properly done. If you'd like to be made aware of them, you can follow me and maybe even drop a couple of dollars, $1, over there on the coffee page, coffee.com/Icarus the Lunar Guard. I'll have these posted online at the end of the week. Tumblr, Facebook, Coffee, Discord, Blue Sky. I'll be working on getting back into the swing properly of getting all this stuff done. It's just been, like I said, it's just been annoying. I apologize. It's episode 544 on the docket runner. Life begins at, well, here's the setup. For 30 years, there have been a number of them, but 30 years plus ago, there was an IVF that was attempted and was finally successful. And the parents decided that they were going to freeze their embryos, 3 of them that were left. Well, the couple unfortunately divorced. The mom decided that she was going to continue the very expensive freezing process. Apparently, shuttling it off into space on the USS Birdseye was not an option. That's a Star Trek reference for some people. And 30 years later, the thawed mount implanted one. Actually, tried implanting 3. 1 was successful. The other 2, not so much. And the child was born. Now, here's the problem, because there are a couple of them. One of which is, of course, if life begins at conception, how old is this newborn, according to them? If life begins at conception, how old are these people themselves? If everybody starts the clock once birth happens, shouldn't they add an additional 9 months, give or take, on their odometer? And then it gets worse yet, because the group that was behind making this happen is a very specific Catholic group who believe that every embryo out there, frozen and waiting, should have an opportunity to be birthed. That's only half the issue. The other half of the issue, if you look in the show notes, you will find the link to the company's website and their About Us page very specifically. I ask you, take a look through it. There is not a person of color anywhere in there. There are a few who appear to be Asian of some persuasion or other, but that would be a very one hand worth of fingers counting to find even that. They're all very, very Caucasian. Because of course they are. So here's where we're gonna be dealing with this. What kind of messed up group is it? a mentality where these minor gaggle of cells, or even singular, perhaps, are more important to be turned into living, breathing infants to give them into families, rather than finding all of the orphans or kids that are put up for adoption who'd still need families who are already here. Because the more I read it over, the more disgusted I was with this organization. And here we go. I'm a dad. You're a mom. You're a mom. I'm kind of glad that Tech's not here for this, because vitriol would be a spewing. So let's see where we go. Bridget, I'm going to start off with you because, good Lord, to use an expression, I can well imagine that you amongst us are very much just hanging your head and just trying so hard not to put your forehead through your desk.
If life begins at conception, then this newborn should be about 31.
And ready to be drafted.
No, I think it's too old to be drafted at 31.
Well, not too old to apply to be part of the ICE. Then, I'm sorry. Did I say that? I'm sorry.
Well, if you enlist into the military, you can get waivers up to age 37. When I went through basic training, I actually had a couple of women, one was 36 and one was 37, that were in my flight. So yeah, they could probably be drafted. Should be able to drink.
Vote.
Pay taxes.
Hit up a dispensary.
Drive a car. Actually, I think it would probably be a hell of a lot more impressive if they could drive a horse, come to think of it.
And of course, this is the personhood argument. If those cells were a person, then what about all the other cells that are still frozen?
Funny you should ask about that, because I went looking that up. Of the 3 that were part of this specific collection, 1 made it, 2 failed. Which means this organization had a 33% success rate, which means they effectively killed 2 people in their own eyes in order to save this 1.
Yeah.
Them's ain't good statistics.
Dems ain't good odds either.
Nope. Nope. And the fun part of it is, I have no idea if anybody's brought this one up, because if anybody knows anything about the internet, don't read the comment section. Just don't read the comment section. Now, I will admit, for our videos I do, because I get pinged for it, and, well, I mean, let's face it, we got people that watch and comment afterwards, and you folks are still my people. I appreciate you. No, I purposely didn't shave for you guys. I wanted you to have the dad face look. Leave me alone. This isn't about me now. Shut up.
But has Nephilim Free been by recently?
No. And see, the thing is, I'm trying to think if there was a method for banning them? Because I don't think that I would have, because it would have been far too funny.
Yeah, but that was like years ago.
A couple.
Well, do I want to know?
He
No, I
showed
don't.
up and downvoted the video, and yeah, and we became internet famous for that 1 second of time.
Nephilim Free is a hype. I'm going to say was, because I don't know if they still exist.
Okay.
Because I haven't heard hide nor hair in a very, very long time. Somebody can spot check me on this one. Nephilim Free was one of those people that believed in the literal biblical account. And upon being questioned as to where did all the water go after the great flood, Nephilim Free, with all seriousness in their heart, it would appear, claimed that it exploded off of the face of the planet, and all of the craters on the moon are impacts not just from the water, but from the large seafaring animals like whales and the such, impacting into it, creating those craters. That's why it looks the way that it does. Thank you very much. This is why we jokingly say that they believe in the Luna Bukkake theory.
I'm sorry, what?
The lunar bukkake theory.
Lunar bukkake theory.
That
What?
all of the water from that covered the surface of the planet that otherwise doesn't explain where it all went to, it shoot off into the atmosphere, past the atmosphere, into orbit, and began pummeling into the lunar surface, including all of the big whales and the leviathans and the... I don't think the Kraken was named by name, but you get the idea. And just all the craters, that's where it come from.
My head's hurting.
That's why we have all kinds of fun making claims that we were temporarily internet famous because of Nephilim Free. Real person. That's really what they believed. No lie, no joke.
Yeah, he was way out there.
He was a piece of work, wasn't he?
And a prolific YouTuber.
Not a good one, but then again,
Not a good one, but he was prolific.
But we're not exactly good either. But you know, we do our thing.
Oh, going off on a tangent. Dark Matter 2525 is still around,
Good man.
but he's no longer doing cartoons. He's actually doing lengthy videos of him on camera.
That's cool. We know somebody who's been doing voiceovers for some videos. Maybe we'll talk about that sometime.
And they've been having fun doing it, especially all the times they get accused of being an AI.
Love that part. Love that part.
They're not an AI. They are not an AI.
Nope. Well, I mean...
No. No!
Yeah.
They are not an AI.
All right, fine. We'll go with that.
But whether or not they're human, that's debatable.
Not going to say it. Not going to say it.
Say it.
I saw a Substack video yesterday. Waj, he, what's his name? Waj Ali. Anyway, he's on Substack and had God on there yesterday.
Which one?
The one that we know as Good God Above, or just God on Blue Sky.
Okay.
had him on, and it was an actual animation of God, that avatar from Blue Sky. And he even got all the mad faces and the, flames shooting out of the eyeball stuff, talking about, Epstein, but it was hilarious. You just had to be there.
See, now you're making me wonder if we can get the great Lord Satan from Blue Sky to show up with us, because that would be.
Maybe we should just ask him. What's wrong with that? We could ask him. Even if it's a special show that we have to have in order to deal with his time zones, we could just ask.
I don't know, but just having God on there was just hilarious.
What what time zone is hell in?
I don't know.
Oh,
That's why
I
I'm
don't know.
saying a special show for his time zone, whatever time zone that is.
I need somebody to look that up for me later. I need to find out about this.
Actually, what is the time zone for hell?
I'm gonna guess whatever it is on Venus, because a day
currently hell is 7:04 a.m. Hell, Poland, but still hell.
Well, there's also Michigan.
And Helsinki.
I don't think that quite qualifies.
Hmm.
There's also Florida.
Yeah, we won't talk about Florida men. Especially not that Florida man. Although we want to talk about that Florida man.
Yeah, that's a whole other piece. Anyhow, back onto track, because Lord knows we're just going to keep going over there. Yeah, so
as you can tell, I flipped you the bird.
That's all right. The thing about, well, I don't know. While I was getting everything ready, did either one of you take a look at that About Us link for that company, to take a look at the pictures and see how it was very.
I didn't.
Yeah.
What?
In the show notes, the About Us link for this group. It's very, like I said, it is very Caucasian. Is very Caucasian the whole way down. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to kind of, just, what is it with these Christian groups who are so, they believe so heavily in their being nice to everybody kind of thing, and yet it's still another one of these country club kind of things where, it's all well and good for us, but I mean, we don't want to encourage and get the hopes up of, all the riffraff out there. I'm trying to be nice about how I say it. You might notice.
I got into a discussion with another atheistic type person within the last week about how several of the Christian religions, their thing is that it's the quantity of life that counts, not necessarily the quality of life. So, and if you're suffering just like their prophet suffered.
Ooh.
And so that's a good thing to them.
We're about to get into a really bad place on that.
Yeah. Because after all, he suffered for them. And you're suffering with your pain. You were born to suffer. So it just got really, really deep and metaphysical or whatever when I was talking to this person. And what I was specifically talking about was what their end of life choices were going to be, because they're in the process of being checked out for cancer. So of course, fuck cancer.
Agreed.
everybody around them is going, yeah, you'll get through this. Yeah. And they asked, no, I need somebody to tell me the straight truth. And I did. I basically told them it's a sucky deal, but you're going to get through it. And I'll be there to help you, but I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm not going to tell you, oh, it's okay. I'm not going to give you thoughts and prayers. I'm going to be somebody that you can just tear into about this.
Yeah. Stephanie just had it right over there. Thank you. And Lex is seconding it. Stephanie saying, quantity of life that makes my skin crawl. Mother Teresa was of that ilk. Exactly what I was thinking. Lexa chiming in. Beat me to it, Stephanie. Made me think of Mother Teresa as well. Exactly right. She was a piece of shit. I got no problem with saying it.
Oh, but she was so holy. She did all this work. She purposely allowed all those people to suffer horribly. She purposely withheld medical treatments that could have helped people. It's Penn and Teller were better at discussing how much of a piece of work that woman was. One of their bullshit episodes was all about her.
At least Jim Jones had the temerity to at least drink his own goddamn concoction. No? So that's what it comes down to.
And it's not just her. There's so many other supposed saints that minister to the sick and stuff, but they did the bare minimum. They didn't actually try to relieve the person's suffering. And with all due respect, and I know I'm going to get yelled at, one of the things that I think should be included in the relieving of suffering is to allow the person to end their suffering. But they have to say that they want it. Unfortunately, at least in the North American governments, Canada and the US, that's not really allowed. Yes, sure, they've brought in medical assistance in dying for Canada, but they're using it the wrong way. Oh, you're homeless? What, have you thought about MAID?
Yeah. But in this
when I
case,
start getting a headache.
But in this case, for these groups, they are bringing in new lives that they have no... Okay, this is the problem because this starts crossing into an area of philosophy that I am ill-equipped to talk on. They are bringing into existence. This is poor wording on my part, but it's the best that I got. Bear with me a second here. They are bringing into existence lives that otherwise do not. Yes, these embryos exist. And yes, there is some viability to them. Give or take about 30%. Or so it would seem in this particular situation. But if you have the moral choice to decide to assist with the suffering of those already in need versus bring in a new life that's going to require its own new set of assistance, which is the more moral choice? And for these groups, it would appear bringing a new set of lives into existence. Bad choice of words, forgive me, English sucks right now. trumps the concept of assisting those already in need. How is this even a thing?
Because children and babies are innocent, and it's the innocent that we can apply all of our mind games to and turn them into good Christians that will die on battlefields for us. You can't really mind control an adult as easily as you can a toddler. You start the indoctrination when they're young.
I mean, yeah. But still, at the same time, there's that big problem of just how can. Maybe it's just me then. How can you justify bringing in a new needy life versus assisting already needy lives?
You can't.
Well, we can't. They apparently can for some reason. Because they made that choice. I don't know how anybody is able to make that choice that way and come to that conclusion.
That baby is a giant experiment. That baby is now I'm going to be tested and examined and everything for the rest of my life because I was a 30-year-old embryo, 31, whatever. And it might do or might help them with space travel. It's a lot cheaper to send embryos than it is to send humans. 1 or 2 humans, and especially if they can get a functioning artificial womb. And robots to help with the raising of the children to keep them safe. You can send thousands upon thousands of embryos to a new planet. A couple of humans to watch over things, artificial wombs, Yeah, my mind is doing speculation right now. This is what happens when you've been in science fiction one way or the other since you were a child.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, other than the obvious fact of just these people are pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Well, I think they're full of shit too, because it's really easy to be rah, pro-life and all that stuff before a baby is born because it doesn't cost you anything and you're advocating for something you need, food and shelter and care while it's still in utero.
Because at that point, technically, all you need to do is to make sure that the woman is clothed, fed, for the most part, most of which they're already doing for themselves, because they are. And then after that, it's funny the way that I'll put it, because the notoriety that this infant is going to have at this point, it's entirely plausible that the family is going to get a lot of supplies just so that various companies can actually say, yeah, we helped provide help and assistance for blah-de-de-blah for a while, and all well and good. That helps offload some of the money, but long term, yeah, doesn't seem like it's going to be really that helpful.
Well, or is you've got a frozen embryo who was frozen for 30, 31 years. We don't know if there was any chromosomal damage during the freezing process, and if it got worse over those 3 decades. and if there was errors in the codes when it came to creating that new life. It might be a perfect human being at birth, but genetic diseases like to hide.
True and agreed. By the by, Blackwort dropping in. Hi there. Good to see you. Mentioning a lot of sci-fi written about that ship out embryos idea turning out badly. Can't imagine how that could possibly go wrong. I mean, it's not like there's solar radiation or cosmic radiation that's going to do anything to those embryos on their way out there. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Solar radiation, all sorts of other radiation, assuming that the ship actually keeps them frozen at the right temperature.
Just open the windows. It'll be fine. I'm half joking about that one. By the way, the USS Birdseye joke that I made earlier, yeah, that is from a Star Trek Next Generation episode where people had been cryogenically frozen and then put into a basically a tube in space. And yeah, if you look hard enough, you can find that the art department did write on the side of it SS Birdseye. What, you think I'm going to make something like that up? Come on. I got far better jokes I could make. Let me ask you both as people who could birth lives, if I'm trying to figure out what the best way of asking this is. You know what? I can't even think of how to ask this one. Okay, the reason why
Just
I'm having
spout
this,
it.
I can't, because the premise itself is the problem. Part of what made this happen is the organization itself. Like I said, Catholic Christian group that feels that every embryo should have its opportunity to be birthed, to live its life, regardless if it's a 30% odds of actually having it happen. But the problem of it also is that the parents that agreed to this were also of the same religious ideology. And what I was going to ask was, what would get you to be a surrogate for this situation? But the problem, like I said, the setup itself is permutated on the religious ideology that every embryo is a life that needs to be saved, as if it were from a burning building saved, which we're not going to go into that one just yet. And for a complete stranger with very likely no real monetary remuneration. I'm having a hard time saying the term. Sorry. See, that's the problem where I'm trying to figure out what would get you guys to do that. But the problem is, like I said, it's based on a religious aspect that we don't have, and I don't know how to reword the problem, the question, to try to figure out what would get you to do it. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't do it by choice, but
Yeah.
if we were to become some version of Gilead, which appears to be the goal, I could see where people would be forced to be surrogates to these.
Exactly. It would be a Gileadian society that would force us to become walking incubators.
Mm-hmm.
Or brain
felt-
dead ones.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
that's been going on for over 30 years. The earliest abstract I found, medical abstract, as in somebody wrote about this happening to somebody else, to their patient, was 1980s. That's the earliest I found. And they're pushing, and they've pushed the envelope back further and further and further as to when the viability is where they must keep the maternal somatic component going. Keep maternal somatic care. I found it for 2 months. I was spouting it all over YouTube and all over TikTok. Anytime somebody talked about that poor woman and her family and that baby, nobody knows how that baby is doing. That child was not born. That child was dissected from a corpse that was kept alive because it was its incubator.
Yeah, Bridget, I remember that we've talked about that on a number of occasions too. We had Florida, we had Texas.
Vancouver, actually more specifically, I believe Victoria, BC. So it's not just the United States. And there was other places where they refused to treat a pregnant woman who was having a crisis because she was pregnant and she ended up dying.
That one was Ireland, as I recall.
Ireland, and
Yeah.
that's why
Yes.
Ireland eventually overturned their abortion ban.
And then there's the laws about forced medical treatment of pregnant women. The
Yep.
G case in Manitoba back in 2000, I believe it was. She was pregnant, she was drug addicted, and social services in Manitoba was trying to get her into treatment. And that was against her Canadian freedom rights. They could convince her to go, but they could not order her to go with a police escort and chains and all that, which is what they were trying to do. They were trying to force her into treatment because the fetus was more important than she was. That was their argument. Canadian law still has it that a fetus is not a person until it breathes on its own outside of its mother's body.
Okay, hold on a second, because this one I was unfamiliar with. The ethics involved in that are running through my head so hard. You can't compel someone to take treatment for drug addiction. But the drug addiction will be causing harm to the unborn fetus. So if you can't compel someone to go through treatment, you are allowing harm to come to the fetus. But if you compel treatment, you are stomping on the rights of the individual themselves in the process. Oh my gods.
Yeah, and because of that case, what I remember was that it was a big rah, 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 how dare that woman not go for treatment? How dare she not have that treatment? But at the same time, if you can force a pregnant woman to be treated for that, for drug addiction, who says you can't force somebody else to get any other treatment? Who says you can't force somebody to have treatment that they don't want, that they specifically don't want?
Holy shit. Bridget, you are, I know that medical ethics isn't exactly your training exactly, but if any one of us has got anything even close to knowledge in this area, um, am I even understanding the problem correctly to the best of your understanding of it? And what might I miss trying to understand? Because I don't want to make it an either or, because there's always supposedly a third option.
Well, I think in the states here, many of them, the woman would be compelled to go through treatment whether she wanted to or not. And if she ended up having anything wrong with, the baby, then she would be charged for endangerment. It's pretty much the laws now. They do drug testing on, during pregnancy, and will consider that as abuse, of a child, even though it's not born yet. I know in Indiana, they started doing presumptive drug testing on anybody that was on Medicaid and got pregnant.
Because of course they would.
Uh-huh. And this was years ago when they started doing that, and I was like, holy shit.
Holy hell.
Angela Carter, a woman with cancer, was forced to have a cesarean in order to, quote, save her life and save the life of the fetus. Both of them died. She did not want the cesarean.
Why was it deemed necessary?
To save the fetus more than her.
No, I get that. But I mean, without knowing the situation of where they were at, that was compelling the idea that this was the viable methodology. It's kind of hard for me to put a foot down of any description, but at the same time, I admit that I have a bias towards medical professionals. Not always will I agree with them, but most of the time I would defer to their judgment, because I'm going to assume that they are well-versed in what it is that they're doing. Then their choices would be predicated on best standards.
Oh, in states like Georgia, if you happen to have cancer and you get pregnant, you cannot continue your cancer treatment. It is not allowed. Because that could cause the fetus to die. Therefore, it sucks to be you if you have cancer. You can't have treatment anymore.
The one thing I can't find out is how far along she was. The fetus survived or rather the baby survived for a few hours. She survived another couple days.
I'm going to ask a really, really super uncomfortable question. And I expect the answer is going to be, are you absolutely out of your goddamned mind? That's the answer I'm expecting. So if that is the correct answer, fine. What is the plausibility of a fetus transplant?
I don't think that's...
Like I said, I know the answer is probably you're out of your goddamn mind. I understand that, but I'm
It's
trying.
not so much that you're out of your goddamn mind. It's that we do not have the medical technology in order to do that. I know of so many gay men that would love to have fetuses and birth babies, of course, by cesarean, but it's not possible at the moment. It
To do a
takes
transplant, you can't.
the womb, the uterus undergoes from a pear shape to an orangey shape, a navel orange, and then it starts to grow bigger and bigger, but it still kind of stays pear shape. And it thins out because the muscular and the tissues stretch and stretch and stretch until they get really thin at 9 months, 40 weeks when the baby is supposed to be due, or the fetus is supposed to be due, baby, whatever. You would have to find some way to replicate that in another woman so that the uterus was the same size, or somehow do a uterine transplant.
And
And
then
you only have a minimum amount of time before the baby, the fetus, is non-viable for lack of oxygen. Because as soon as you cut the arteries and the veins that go to the uterus that is holding that baby, and you're transporting the entire thing into another woman, it's
that's why I was saying I expect that the answer is just that out of my gourd. But at the same time, there are so few possibilities, never mind plausibilities, that it's just one of those things where, I mean, we know full well that there has been a sheep, I believe is what it was, that was put into an artificial womb to finish gestation. Completely different animal than human, I know, but the viability of doing it for a mammalian species has happened, for good or for ill. That's why I, without going to that, I figured I didn't think it was plausible, but at the same time,
it is
it's
it technically is plausible if they can get a lamb to birth. They can probably get a human fetus to birth, but that fetus will have missed the woman's movements, the woman's voice, the woman's heartbeat, the sounds of her breathing, the sounds of her gut. It will be all mechanical sounds that fetus would have been hearing for the time that it was extrauterine.
effectively.
And that's assuming that they're able to get the fetus out and connected again. The time period is so short. They would have to be right down to the millisecond with doing this. We don't have the technology yet. No, we can't transport fetuses from their mother's wombs into an incubator. No, there is no such thing as a bajoran that can carry a human baby. No, we don't have birthing tubes and stuff where you can take an embryo or a small fetus and stick it in there and let it gestate so that the mother is able to do whatever she needs to do. Star Trek and the Honorverse. The Honorverse actually has where humans can choose to either have children the natural way or to tube them. They grow in tubes. In Star Trek, of course, DS9, Kira Nerys becomes the surrogate mother for the O'Briens.
But now you Now, if you're not pregnant, you can do a uterus transplant and then get pregnant.
Okay.
But the anti-rejection drugs that you would have to take are actually possibly bad for, again, fetuses and embryos.
But then it would be a matter of, okay, new uterus, cool, now get pregnant.
But still, you have to take anti-rejection drugs. For the entire time that you have that uterus in you, you have to take anti-rejection drugs. We're so close to breaking the needing female humans to be incubators for the next generation. We're so close to getting rid of that. And I know so many women that will be thankful that they will never have to do that.
Man, I have to admit, I am out of my element in a lot of ways on this particular everything, because I am male. I have no birthing organs. So for me, I have no first person understanding of the vast majority of this stuff. And the learning that I've got of it, admittedly, is relatively out of date, and B, kind of hard to remember because it's been a very, very long time. And, well, there's been some, trauma in my head and heart since then. You might have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the story itself, never mind all the extraneous stuff, but the story itself still irks me in a way that I cannot explain properly. Because I keep trying to come back to it, and it's so hard to get a bite into this thing. Why bring in new lives when there are lives already in need? And I still just, I just can't get past that. I just can't. I don't know how to deal with that part, you know?
I think it's unethical. I mean, we need to take care of people who are already here.
Yeah, the fire thing that I said we were going to get to eventually. The ethics question of, there's a burning building, you can run in there and you can grab and save a 2-year-old child or an entire shelf full of frozen embryos. Which do you go in and get?
I'm grabbing a child, but these nut jobs will grab all the embryos.
And they'll leave the child behind.
Yeah, and leave the child behind. Yeah.
Which of course prompts the old,
really warped.
Yeah, which of course prompts the old joke, bad that it might be. Well, who cares? I mean, I can always just make another one.
Nope. That might have been a thing 100, 150 years ago, even as late as 50 years ago, but not anymore. People don't want to have more than one pregnancy. Or if they do have 2, 3, or heaven forbid 4, like what I did, it's still, each child is unique, and it's not the 10 children where maybe 6 of them survive infancy.
Or going by the statistics that we just went through, 3.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if 30% is a legit number, but going by the one data set that we've got, it seems to be acceptable, because there was a lot more talk about the one that made it than the 2 others that didn't.
look at this success. We made a baby that's 30 years old. Doesn't matter that its two siblings are dead. No, this one is alive. See? Look how wonderful we are. Look at how gloriously wonderful we are.
It's the glory of God, because if they were brought back to heaven, then that was the choice that God made for them. You could have just let them thaw out and just expire. You know what? Wait a second. Bridget, when there is a culture of cells in a petri dish, and the cells under research, I don't want to use the expression die, because I don't think that that's quite the right term for it. When they expire, when they are no longer viable, what is there even a term specifically for that, to your knowledge? You know, you see where I'm coming from, I hope.
Yeah.
Because,
are you talking about a blastocyst?
yeah, because the only term that keeps coming into my head is non-viable. But I don't know that that's necessarily the right term either.
Well, if it's not capable of growth, it's by definition non-viable.
Yep.
Damn. So,
What?
saying that a frozen
Because a blastocyst would have 8 cells.
Okay. So let's go with that for a second. Would it be correct in describing it as dying if it was allowed to defrost and then just go nowhere until it's expended whatever internal fuel it already has?
I wouldn't consider it dying, but I'm not a religious wacko either.
No, but from a biological sense, because by some technicalities, I could see where that would be an appropriate term if charged, versus some other technical term for it that I'm unaware of because I am completely out of my element because I'm not a biologist.
I would look at it as an acorn. An acorn
Yeah.
is not a tree.
Corn kernel. Seed. It's not a tree. It's a fertilized seed, but it's not a tree, a plant, whatever. A blastocyst, an embryo, is not a human. Clump of cells. It requires it requires a host to provide nutrients in order for the human to be born. And yes, I have been seeing a lot about that old interview where a Republican calls women hosts. Yeah.
And fetuses, by technical description, could be described as a parasite.
And what do we do with parasites?
Well, it depends on the parasite.
Mm-hmm. Well, technically it is a parasite, although I think more specifically the placenta itself is the parasite because it's what draws all the stuff for the baby, the fetus, as it grows. I'm saying baby because it's a chosen one that we're choosing to bring to term.
No, I got you.
So the placenta is an organ that's specifically designed to take over the woman's hormonal system and get as much nutrients from the woman one way or the other. That's why women have bad teeth if they have really hard pregnancies. The baby, the placenta will drain the calcium from any source material.
Yep.
Well, shit. That's a piece I did not know about.
And that's just the start. At the
That's
same
why you have to
time,
take so much calcium when you're pregnant, because, yeah, it will take it down to your teeth.
Holy shit.
calcium, iron, other minerals and vitamins. If you don't take the stuff and if you aren't taking it up to 3 months before you get pregnant in the first place, you might not have the reserves in order to actually go all the way through the pregnancy. And the worst part is that some of those vitamins that they give you, once you get pregnant, as soon as you take it, you vomit it back up. Because the body says, no, we don't want this.
This is going to sound like it's a weird question. I mean, admittedly, it is for a second. Egg shells from chickens, eggshells, those are comprised mostly of calcium, aren't they?
Yes, and chickens eat their own eggshells to
Could
recycle the calcium.
could eggshells be pulverized into effectively dust
Yes,
and mixed into other foods as just an additive to assist with that?
yes. That's why iron's added to cereals. That's why there's fortified bread. That's why there's other foods that are fortified. Have you ever taken the look on your nutritional label of the foods that you eat?
I mean, it's been a while. I don't remember where they put it on the box of Pop-Tarts. Why? No reason. What?
Because that's where you get your nutritional information. That's where you find out that things are fortified with iron, with calcium, with vitamin C, vitamin blah, 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 blah. One of the most required vitamins is folic acid. I believe that's either B6 or B12. Don't quote me on which one it is. But you need folic acid in order to help the brain develop of an embryo to a fetus. You need it up until about 12 weeks, and it's still good to have the rest of the pregnancy anyway. But you need it specifically for that brain development. Guess what alcohol likes to do? It likes to mimic folic acid, and that's why they don't like pregnant women drinking. That's why they don't like women that could become pregnant drinking. I'm waiting for them to say that women can't drink alcohol anymore.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yep.
But that then comes up
it's
against the same ethics problem again, doesn't it?
yeah.
Well, you have to look at precedent in this country. There were still forced sterilizations going on up until the 1970s. And if the government can force people to be sterilized, they can also force people to become pregnant.
And technically, women can have children up until about 70, whether or not they're menstruating or not, because there's all these nice little things called hormone replacements and other chemicals that they can stick in us in order to make us into broodmares, incubators.
Yep, and I can see that happening.
They're asking women of childbearing age, is there anything preventing you from becoming pregnant? Is there anything inside of you preventing you from becoming pregnant? Ah! If a woman does not want to become pregnant, why is she being asked why she isn't becoming pregnant? She doesn't want to become pregnant.
So the only answer to, is there anything in you that's preventing you from getting pregnant? The answer is none.
I've actually told medical professionals I will not answer when my last menstrual cycle was because of the current political environment. You still menstruating? Yes, I am. When was the last one? I'm not answering. Could you be pregnant? If I'm pregnant right now, then I better have 3 men and a donkey show up in my labor room because I want my damn gold star.
Could you be pregnant?
You should...
Sure, could be.
Mhm.
Are you? None ya. And for anybody that doesn't understand it, that translates to none your damn business.
Then they run pregnancy tests because they will not do x-rays and some of the other tests if there's even a slight possibility that you could be pregnant because damage to the fetus and embryo and once again,
it is fair.
My health, my medical well-being is not mine. It belongs to a fictional fetus that may or may not even ever exist. And it's not just me, it's every single woman in the United States. This happened in Romania. How many women had babies in Romania when they didn't want to have babies? How many of those babies were left at orphanages because the mothers did not want to raise them? Because they were forced to have these babies because that's what the regime wanted. You know, the births in America are down to 1.5%, which is below replacement rate. Honestly, ladies, we can do better than that. We can get it down to 1. And at that point in time, the regime is going to change and they're going to force women to become pregnant. They're going to put women in places where they're going to be forced to be watched for the entire time that they could be pregnant, are pregnant, and have given birth. And maybe they'll be released back into society with their babies. Maybe. And that's another thing that those fascists out in Nazi Germany did. They had specific women that were pregnant for the regime to have Aryan babies, and they just had one baby after the other. So that was what they were supposed to do.
That sounds suspiciously like some Christian families that we've heard of here in the States. Mm-hmm. And how some very, very hyper-Christian scared people are, or have been, saying, well, you know, all these other religious groups are having babies like crazy so that they can outbreed us.
Yep. That's one of the arguments.
I wish I was making that one up, but I remember that one all too clearly. I don't remember who said it. I don't remember exactly when they said it. I just know that was one of the things.
It was something I saw within the last 24 hours. It was a image of a bunch of palm-colored girls. You know, nice flat stomachs, not pregnant type. And then below that, a bunch of young women in abayas, darker colors. And they were visibly pregnant, every single one of them. I spotted it, I think, on Reddit or somewhere. I was just flipping through stuff. I've been trying not to get upset.
No, that's fair. I just saw something that ended up over in one of the notes. Yeah, that's going to end up over in the show notes about something. So that's a thing. We are fast approaching top of the hour, which means we gotta see about closing up shop over here. The fact that I have made it this far is quite the testament to the coffee that I had earlier. So
Coffee, 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 coffee.
thank you, caffeine. Appreciate it. I'm not quite sure where to even finish with. Bridget, was there anything left on the table for you topic-wise?
I don't think so. I'm just not real big on this whole Project 2025 and watching it play out. And yeah.
No, that's fair.
And I'm pretty pissed off about the First Amendment being gutted, the Fourth Amendment being gutted, the 8th, most of the 14th, and Hegseth and his little group is pushing to do away with 19th and said so openly, and interview was on Fox or something like that. So yeah, the church that he's affiliated with and sends his kids to, want to take the right to vote away from women. They openly said so. So I think that this is probably going to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to
We're
make sure.
chattel, and I guess we need to brace ourselves or prepare ourselves or find some acceptance that that's where we're at, where we're going.
Yeah, I was about to say I'll make sure that the Schoolhouse Rock episode about the 19th Amendment is in there. It may not be the most comprehensive of explanations, but at least it gives a good starting off point anyway. Io, what last item you got on the table, if anything?
I've been dealing with my own medical issues. I saw my respirologist 2 days ago. And although I haven't gotten a diagnosis, I'm kind of looking at a bunch of medical testing in the next couple of months. And honestly, the thought of some blue-suited asshole telling me that I must have children I want to do physical violence. But at the same time, I'm told, nope, keep your head down. Be good. Because we also got that letter this week. Starting next month, we're going to be applying to have my probationary restrictions lifted from my green card. So, on the one hand, I want to be out there protesting and causing chaos in a good way. But in the other way, I'll just keep on hoping that a certain grandpa stays on a roof and slips.
That's fair. For me, I didn't quite know what I was looking to get out of this particular topic. Not because I didn't think it was worth. I absolutely do. It's that the premise itself of this topic in and of itself just, I don't know, man. There are times where I can understand where some people are coming from. I can get it. There are certain things where, it all makes sense from a certain point of view, as we were told back a long time ago. And like I said, the premise of this whole story just doesn't add up for me. The ethics of it, the morality of it, the biology of it, the statistics of it, it doesn't make any sense for me. And I think, in a way, I need to be happy with that, or at the very minimum, satisfied. Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe that's the best part about it. All I can say is, little 30-year-old baby, on behalf of all of us, we really hope the best for you. Because this notoriety is going to suck. And you're going to have it as a yoke around your neck for probably the entirety of your lifetime. And that's the one aspect of this that nobody can predict what it's going to be like. Good luck to you. With that, we'll call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. As always, over there in the chat, thank you guys for being here. Lexa, Blackort, and Stephanie also had chimed in making reference about something, and I didn't get to mention it. By the way, Io, it was B12 that you were talking about with folic acid. And Stephanie had said, in medieval times, about 1/3 of babies died before their 5th birthday, and childbirth was often the cause of death in women. If memory serves, I do believe that turn of the 20th century, that was part of the reason why girls and boys typically ended up in virtually identical baby gear. They were effectively dresses with pants, I guess. So you look at some of these children from way, way, way back. Yeah, they're all dressed the same for exactly that reason. Because for a good long time, you didn't know if they were going to make it out of, single digits. So
Actually, they were dressed in dresses because dresses is a lot easier to deal with diapers or nappies.
Perfectly reasonable and perfectly fair. Thank you.
And you're right about women dying in childbirth. You're right about, I said infancy. Infancy can be up to 5 years, whatever. Ay.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Io, thank you. Glad you're able to make it. You take care of yourself. You take care of yourself several times over, eh?
Mm-hmm. You too.
And good luck with all.
Oh, one last thing. Bridget.
Speaking of, Bridget, glad you're able to make it. And, going forward, how's your availability going to be looking? And I know you're a little out of practice, but I'm sure there's somebody that you can go ahead and blow a big ol' FU to.
My availability is going to be really wonky, just because I'm going to be pulling 12s. And I have to sleep sometime, Oh, who's going to get my ire this week? I'm going to give a big fuck you to Ken Paxton and Governor Abbott and their whole gerrymandering bullshit. It's wartime now. And threatening to send the FBI up to go arrest people in another state because they broke quorum? I don't think so.
Fair enough. You have a good week too, eh? Keep in touch. Let me know how things are going for you.
Yeah, I will.
And thank you all for being with us. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again, very likely next week. Like I said at the top of the show, the weather has been bad over here for me. This upcoming week, temperature-wise, we're looking at hotter, potentially more humid, potentially more soot in the air again. The air quality index this past week has not dipped under 100. Today, where I am, it was 55. Believe me, there's a big difference in how it feels. This upcoming week, I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's entirely possible I'm going to lose some weight because of water. Don't worry, I'm still drinking like crazy. Be it as it may, please be safe out there in the heat. And as always, if you're going to be out there having fun on the water, please do not drink alcohol and boat. Get drunk on dry land. You fall over, you bump your head. Fall over out of a boat, don't become a statistic. So, till the next time we're together, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And my lady, it is about to be your 55th birthday. You'd have been an amazing 55. And I'm still in love. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.